welcome to Open Heaven Online. My name is Ness and I'm the team leader of the leadership team, and we are here live in St. Peter's. It's so good to be here. It's so exciting. And so do use the chat function in all the different platforms that we're using so that we can interact with each other and say hello. I can already see Sean was the first to say hello to us, and then we have the Bullens are in, and Emily and Nathaniel, Anita. It's so good to have the Open Heaven family joining together. And welcome to all of you who maybe don't normally tune in to Open Heaven, but you're just kind of joining us for the first time. So good to have you. And I want to give a special welcome to any students who know that they are coming up to Loughborough in the next couple of weeks. We are so looking forward to meeting you, to connecting you into community, to seeing all the good plans that God has for you in your time here at Loughborough. Use the Fusion student link up so that you can then let us know that you're coming, and we will be in touch with you. So today is a really big day for us as Open Heaven. It's the highlight of our calendar year. Today is Vision Sunday. Woo! So I'm going to hand over to Rich, who's co-hosting with me, and we're going to hear a little bit more as to what's happening this morning.
Thanks, Ness. Oh, this is great. Going live, really live this morning. So Open Heaven is one church with three expressions. We have OH1, who normally meet in the Students' Union for our 18s to 30s. OH2, which is our Generations Together expression, which meets right here usually in St. Peter's. And in fact, we've got children upstairs right now meeting for the first time. And we have got OH3, which is our intercultural expression, which is gathering in homes. So we continue to be Open Heaven that is organized around mission. It's our organizing principle. We're always looking to see where God's call is being ignited, and then whether that's around a network or a neighborhood, and then finding ways that we can gather around that and see more expressions come into life and be planted. So wherever you are right now, maybe you want to continue to, in this season, invite others, ones or twos, back to yours to watch these live streams together as we are all together on this space today. So, Ness, we have got some shout-outs. Do you want to come and give us a couple of those?
I do.
Our time-tested favourites.
So this is probably one of my favourite parts of the intro. We get to say happy birthday to a number of people, particularly the little people in our church family. So, Lydia Bullen, you are going to be 4 this week on Wednesday. Little Lydia, we love you very much. Jonah Penny is going to be 2 on Wednesday. Happy birthday, Jonah. Raphael Wilson is going to be 6 this week. And Sebastian Yorkson is going to be 16. Sebastian,
wow.
God's call.
Sebas.
Sebastian, God's call on your life stands strong. There is also a really special shout out that is my privilege to be able to announce because it happened to kind of in the context of our shared household. Josie was asked to be married to Josh Jones on Tuesday. And she said yes. So that's big news, big news that Josh and Josie are engaged. So, Rich, over to you for some more shout-outs.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps rolling. There's lots going on. We are really excited to be receiving students very shortly to Loughborough, but we are very, very excited to be sending and commissioning some of our own youth out to universities across this country. So a massive shout out to Emily Reed, who is going to York on the 27th. Well done, Emily. And we have got James Hewlett, who's off to Birmingham just in a week's time. And then we have also got our own Connor Wakely, who's up to Newcastle on the 27th. So well done, guys. We just want to commission you in the name of Jesus to go for it wherever he puts you, the people you're going to meet, and the places he's going to take you. And we have also got the wonderful Emily Marshall and the amazing Alex Vari, who are having a gap year this year. So they're going to have some adventures and fun and some development for themselves this year. So pray for these guys this week. Pray that God would just fill them with his Holy Spirit, that they get a fresh call from him, and that he would make a way for them wherever they land. So exciting stuff. So I just want to give you a little heads up of what we've got lined up for you. There is a lot to fit in. We are going to have a little bit of an update video from the Wall of Answered Prayer. There's some exciting news to be shared with you from that initiative. And then we're going to jump into worship. We're going to give our all to Jesus. I want to invite you to posture yourself, to get ready to step into worship with us as we celebrate King Jesus this morning. And then the team are raring to go. They're literally, I'm holding them back here. And then we're going to jump into another video that's going to give us a little bit of a review of the last 12 months, celebrating some of the highlights of what God has been doing in and through our community. So get ready for that. And then we're going to hear an amazing testimony of God moving in someone's life for the first time. So I'm really excited to hear that. And Luke's going to lead us in that. And then we're going to have an update from all those expression leaders and those involved in leading key areas in Open Heaven about what is going on in this year to come. So get ready. Let's get ourselves postured to engage our hearts and our minds and our spirits with everything that God's going to show us and speak to us today. So we're going to go straight into that video now and listen to this and take on board what's said.
Hey, Pioneer Churches. Gosh, I think it was March when I came and spoke at your conference. We had no idea what was coming, did we? Oh my word. And I know it's been a really difficult time for a lot of us, a difficult time for the church, but I just want to encourage you that we at Eternal Wall of Answer Prayer have continued to work hard, and we've seen God's amazing favor in this season. And we are going to the national press this week, but we want the church to hear first. We've got planning permission. We have got planning permission. Woo! From the highest authority in the nation. We've got planning permission to build a national landmark about Jesus. It's awesome. So thank you, all of you that have supported. God is in this. We have loads of evidence now that God is in this, and we're going to start building in a matter of months. So keep spreading the word for us. Keep telling the nation. And we'll see you soon. Here's a video to tell you some more. Look where we are. In between the M6 and the M42. We're right next to the new HS2 route, and we're overlooked by planes going in and out of Birmingham Airport. We're in the heart of the nation, Coes Hill near Birmingham. It's got to be one of the most visible spots in the country, with 500,000 journeys going past every week. Have a guess what we're doing here. Right here, we're building a national Christian landmark. It's been a 16-year journey to get to this point, and I'm absolutely chuffed to bits to tell you we've been granted our planning permission. We're building in 2021, and we will complete late 2022. This will be a monumental piece of public art, a never-ending wall filled with stories of answered prayer. And every single brick in this construction will represent a story of hope, a story where someone has prayed to Jesus and he has answered. People will be able to discover these stories just by pointing their phone up to a brick, and their phone will light up and tell them the story that that brick represents. In doing this, we aim to make hope visible. One of the most powerful forces on the planet is hope. And no matter the circumstance, when we find hope, it gives us strength. And we're gathering these prayer stories from 600 AD all the way up to the present day to make hope visible. So take the chance to have your story be part of this historic project as well, and leave a legacy for future generations. If you have hope in Jesus, we want to hear your answered prayer story. Tell us the situation you faced, how you prayed, how you experienced Jesus answered. And then your story will be on a brick to encourage the generations to come. We've received answered prayers from Inverness, from Bournemouth, Cardiff, Birmingham, Belfast, from cities, villages and towns across the UK. And now people from all over the world are starting to share their stories with us. This will be a people's landmark, crowdsourced with hundreds of volunteers, crowd-funded with thousands of donations, and crowd-created with millions of prayer stories. It's a time to be bold about what we believe and provoke a national conversation about prayer. Please get involved, share your story, donate, and most importantly, pray. Let's tell the nation how we find hope, and let's make hope visible.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Isaac. I'm a part of OH1, which is our 18s to 30s expression of church, and I just graduated from Loughborough University this year. Who are you?
I'm Tilly. I am also part of the OH1 leadership team, and I also graduated this year from Loughborough University.
Yeah, good. Every time that we start worship together, there's an invitation for us to step in, to choose to engage with what God has for us this morning, and to not be observers but to be participants. So I just invite you, wherever you are today, to posture your body in a way that will help you to engage with worship. That might look like standing, it might look like sitting, it might look like lying down. But our songs mean nothing if we're not connected on a heart level. So just wherever we are, in whatever way we can this morning, let's just come together and worship the King. Should nothing of our efforts stand, nor legacy survive, unless the Lord does raise the house in vain, its builders strive. To you who boast tomorrow's gain, tell me, what is your life amidst the vanishes at dawn? Oh, glory be to Christ, and oh, glory be to Christ our King. Oh, glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. Oh, glory be to Christ. His will be done, His kingdom come on earth as it is above. Who is Himself our daily bread? Praise Him, the Lord of love. Let living water satisfy the thirsty without price. We'll take a cup of kindness yet. Oh, glory be to Christ. Oh, glory be to Christ our King. Oh, glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. Oh, glory be to Christ. When on the day the great I am, the faithful and the true, the Lamb who was for sinners slain is making all things new. Yeah! Behold And all glory be to Christ our King. All glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. All glory be to Christ.
On Monday night, here in St. Peter's, we had a Holy Spirit worship night. And as part of that, people joined online and brought prophetic pictures and words. And Lizzie Bullen brought an amazing picture showing houses and homes across our town with dark windows where then lights got switched on and lights started to spread across the town through the homes. And at the same time watching, Caroline Harmon had actually was reminded that a year ago in her journal she had drawn windows of homes and then lights in those windows, and the very same prophetic word of lights being switched on and spreading out across our town. And we felt we want to get in line with the prophetic flow of what God is saying, that there is his light coming to our town across homes, in streets, through neighborhoods, spreading the good news, the love of God, the breakthrough, the freedom of God to people across our town. And we want to invite you this morning. Let's join in with a prophetic gesture. Maybe where you are, in your lounge, in your bedroom, wherever you are, I want you to go over to your light switch right now. Maybe go over to the lamp next to you. And I'm going to count you down, and we're going to switch on those lights just as a gesture to say, Jesus, we're in. Jesus, let your light shine. Shine in us and through us to our homes, to our town, through our streets and our neighborhoods. So let's go for this open heaven. Let's switch on some lights. So after 3, children, you can help loads on this one. After 3, let's go. 1, 2, 3, switch on. Let the light of Jesus shine. Shine in you, shine in our town.
Riches I need not, no man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance, now and always. Thou and thou only, still be my vision. Oh, Lord, oh, still be my vision. Oh, ruler of all. Still be my vision, Jesus. Seen what you can do, oh God of wonders. Your power has no end. The things you've done before, in greater measure, you will do again. We've seen what you can do, oh God of wonder. Your power has no end. The things you've done before, in greater measure, you will do again. There's no prison wall you can't break through, no mountains you can't move, all things are possible. There's no broken body you can't save, no soul that you can raise. Things are possible. The darkest night, you can light it up, you can light it up. God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome, you've already won. God of revival, you rose in victory, you're seated forever on the throne. Yeah. So why should my heart fear what you defeated? I will trust in you alone. 'Cause there's no prison wall you can't break through, no mountain you can't move, all things are possible. There's no broken body you can't raise, no soul that you can't save, all things are possible. The darkest night, you can light it up, you can light it up. God of revival, and hope arise. Death is overcome, 'cause you've already won. God of revival, the darkest night, you've already won. You can light it up. God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome, 'cause you've already won. God of revival, God of revival. Sing together, come awaken. Come awaken your people, come awaken the city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble, I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. the city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. The darkness night, you can light it up, you can light it up. God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome, 'cause you've already won. God of revival, come awaken your people, come awaken the city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Come awaken your people, come awaken your city. God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out.
That is our prayer. That is our prayer over our town. That's our prayer over our own lives, God, that your revival would come. God, come in us first and come in our town. God, we're open. God, we're desperate. We need you. God, we need you. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for coming close. Thank you, God, for what you have for us in this season, in this day. God, we're open. Thank you. Guys, that was amazing. Thanks for leading us so amazingly in worship there. I hope you guys are being impacted where you are at home. I'm definitely enjoying this morning. We just want to jump into some new, the next segments of today. And so we're just going to have a bit of an opportunity now to be really thankful and really excited by what we see God has done over this last year. With all the highs and lows that it's brought for us, God has been at work. So we're going to roll this video now where we just have a bit of a look back and celebrate what God's been up to, and then roll into Luke's chat with Athena. Welcome to Open Heaven Online.
It's Open Heaven Church. My name's Joe.
We're really glad that you are tuning in and that most of all, you encounter God. Heavenly Father,
Turn to you and leave behind everything that separates us.
So I give myself to you now.
Jesus died to show us what perfect love looks like.
Just to share this good news even further.
So a few notices just to wrap up with.
We're going to be having a time of prayer together as a church.
If you are new to faith and you want to join in the Open Heaven community, join one of our small groups.
Subscribe, follow, like.
By searching for Open Heaven Church on any of our social media platforms.
You can get involved with that this week.
So glad that you've been with us. Thank you very much. Make sure you don't leave without saying hello.
Wow, so much has happened, hasn't it? Do you know, in the mix of all the craziness and the stuff that's been going on, God has been calling people to himself. And it's so exciting when we get to hear people's story, isn't it? So Luke's taken a bit of time out and spent a bit of time with Athena, who's a student, and we're going to hear her story just now. So watch the screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm here. I'm Luke. If those of you don't know me, I'm the student worker here at Open Heaven, and I'm here with my friend Athena. Hi. And we just want to, basically, I want Athena to be able to share her story with you of what's happened in lockdown for her. So, I've got a few questions for you, Athena. First off, tell everybody listening maybe a little bit about yourself. Who are you, for those who maybe don't know you? Maybe what's a little bit of your story?
My name's Athena, and I'm going into second year civil engineering at Loughborough. And I was born into an atheist family, but we had like Buddhist culture sort of in the background. I didn't know any Christians until I came to uni, which was interesting.
Right. And I sort of know your story. So things sort of like started for you in terms of faith, didn't it? Like just before lockdown. Do you want to sort of just tell us how you sort of came to know Jesus? What was that? Like, how did that work for you? What did that look like?
I found first year quite overwhelming, and I definitely felt very unstable, and I think that made me quite self-destructive. But luckily I had a Christian friend who was just they had such a peaceful presence. They were just so calming to be around, and there was something about them which just you could tell that they were really grounded in who they were. And for me, because I was the opposite, I found that really reassuring to be around them. And then when it went into lockdown, and obviously I couldn't see any of those Christian friends anymore, I was like, I want what they had. So that made me want to explore Christianity. yeah.
So cool. I think we talk about it a lot. I don't know, in church and with friends, of like living a life that sort of reflects Jesus, and almost hoping and praying that as a witness, and to be able to like be, to outreach to our friends, that sort of rubs off. So it's really encouraging to hear that that's sort of your experience of that. That's brilliant. So what sort of like helped you like grow in that faith, of like that seed that was planted with that friend? How has your faith sort of grown from then?
Well, I was very reluctant to believe in God. I remember I went to my friend's baptism, and I spent the whole time just crying so much, and I found it so powerful. But even then, like afterwards, I was quite rude about it. I was like, that's not real. I was like, yeah. But I think there were so many moments like that afterwards where it's kind of like, okay, I give up. I can't keep denying this. And I think reading the Bible definitely helped me a lot, because then I could understand it a bit more.
That's great. So that was the baptism gathering just before lockdown, wasn't it? Was that in New Springs Church? In that, I can't remember now. Yeah, that's really cool. That's such a great sort of testimony, that Athena, of, and I love your honesty as well, of like, even when you were there at the baptism gathering, you were still like, hold on, I don't quite all believe this, but I think that's really real and authentic. That's brilliant. And finally, last question, like, what's been the biggest change for you since becoming a Christian?
I actually asked my mum and my friends about this the other day, and none of them are Christians, and they all said that like I seem calm, and that doesn't seem like a big thing, but I was just so anxious before. Like, I think because when you put your self-worth in people's view of you, and obviously there's so many different people and they all have different views, and then those views change. You as a person is just being pulled around all the time. Like, you don't really have your own core beliefs, or nothing that really grounds you. And I think that knowing that God is steadfast and that I'm grounded in God just means that it's just really calming. And that's a big thing for me, because I felt very like unstable before and stuff.
Wow. Theda, that is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, we could probably talk for ages, and there's probably loads more to that story. But thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure it's been a huge encouragement for me. We've been involved with Alpha together online, and that's been fantastic. And seeing you invite your friends to that as well, that's just been absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure it's an encouragement for everybody listening. So thank you so much for carving a bit of time out to come and share your story with church family. Thank you so much, Athena.
Well, I loved that. I hope you are as encouraged as I am by hearing that story from Athena. And she's just one of many. In the last 6 days before lockdown happened, we saw 6 people become a Christian. One every day, somebody discovering that Jesus was alive and committing their lives to him. So God is on the move. It just looks a little bit different right now. So whilst much has changed, our mission as Open Heaven has not changed. Our mission, our mandate from God for us as a community is still this: making disciples who establish heaven on earth. Now, a disciple is just a fully devoted follower of Jesus. And establishing heaven on earth just means that we live up to our name, Open Heaven, that we believe that we can be conduits, we can be channels of heaven to earth. And so the mission hasn't changed. The process of how we fulfill that mission hasn't changed. As I just thought a little bit about the process of us outworking the reality of that vision, I thought, it kind of comes into 4 C's. If you like alliteration, here we go. So how do we make disciples to establish heaven on earth? First of all, the C of conversion. That people discover that Jesus is alive. He loves them more than they have ever been loved before. And he's got amazing plans and purposes for their life. And so they give their life to him. Number 2C, connected. We need to get connected into community. Even in this season, it's connected into online community or perhaps into homes. We can't do the Christian life in isolation. So there's conversion, there's connection, and then calling. The way that people establish heaven on earth is they find their unique God assignment to bring heaven to earth. We run something called the Discovery Course, which helps people find that calling. And then, number 4C, commissioned. People are called, and then as a church, we make sure that we create lots of space, lots of permissioning, and lots of supporting and resourcing that people know they're fully commissioned to get on and do what God has called them to do. So our mission hasn't changed. The way we outwork our mission hasn't changed. Our values hasn't changed. Our values sum up the word grace: growth, relevance, authenticity, community, and empowerment. But the way that we do church has changed. And as I've been seeking God about what he is doing at this time, what he is doing with his church, my sense is that he is reshaping his church to better fit his mission. And the 2 words I feel that God has given me in terms of what he's doing and this next season for church is he is resetting us and resending us. Right now, I believe the church of God, particularly in the Western world, is being reset around mission and being resent. And I actually think that the vision we set back in February at our church weekend away of not being a lake church but being a river church, a vision of planting more expressions of open heaven across Loughborough like a strong net, I believe that vision is actually being accelerated rather than being put on hold. I think this kind of multiplication thinking rather than addition thinking is actually what God is wanting to do with his church right now, not just open heaven, but big. The whole thing. His church is being reshaped, being reset, and resent. There is something unique in this moment in church history. We have not been here before. This is allowing the church, as I say, particularly the Western church, to evaluate, to stop and evaluate, to really think through, what are we doing to fulfill God's mission? Because remember, the church doesn't have a mission. The mission of God has a church. So what are we doing to fulfill God's mission? And perhaps, are there better, more effective ways of doing it? In having so much of church life stripped away from us, it is both destabilizing, which it is. It's deeply destabilizing. Lots of church leaders are not enjoying this season. It's destabilizing, but it's also deeply freeing. We are free to evaluate all the things that we were doing, free to evaluate things like meetings where 20% do 80% of the work, or evaluate how effective are we in our disciple making. Asking deep and serious questions like, have we been creating consumers of a product rather than contributors to a cause? So I am convinced that God is wanting to reset us around his mission. You know, large gatherings have been taken away from us, and they're not looking to return anytime soon. Smaller gatherings, smaller units, smaller expressions is the shorter-term future, and perhaps is the future. But what if God was actually in this, reshaping church to better fit his mission? So where expressions of church can be sent in relevant ways into new places and new contexts and new people groups. For an apostolic resource community like ours, that suddenly becomes very exciting. You know, it's thought that 20% of any congregation have got something in them of pioneering leadership. It's just in most models and most setups, that doesn't always fully get ignited and realized. It becomes exciting to think, could we see the spaces where the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is not yet established? Could we be sent to fill those? I want to ask you, what have you noticed stirring up inside of you? Is God giving you a stirring, a fresh heart for your locality, your neighborhood? That we're all of us, aren't we? We're rooted far more into our localities, an area of town, a network of people. Your workplace, maybe that's become much more open to your peace-bringing influence in this time of anxiety. And so as we get resent around God's mission, his heartbeat, his passion, his priority of seeking and saving the last, the least, and the lost, we get resent. And as we get resent, we innovate. So this next season will be around creativity and experimentation. This next season will allow us to plant, if you like, micro churches, new expressions around mission that specifically engages with injustice and evil in all its different forms. We can see small groups with a God-given passion to go after a stronghold, to go after a battlefield, to see themselves as the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And some things will work and some things might not, but that's okay. This is a culture, this next season of experimentation, of learning what works, what doesn't work. And every time someone is stepping out and having a go, we stand up and we applaud. And you know, just even thinking practically, as buildings reopen, the 2-meter social distancing rule is not going away in the foreseeable future. And so really practically, 2 meters distancing allows for about a third of any given congregation to be able to gather again. The options with that, with a pre-COVID mindset and model of church, are therefore repeat the gathering 3 times on a Sunday to get everyone in, or perhaps create a rota so people can come to church every 3 weeks, or with a different way of thinking, a way of thinking where we have been reset around mission and we've been resent, that same group could create 3 different expressions of church with a missional focus, bringing light and hope and truth and life and beauty into a neighborhood or a network that doesn't yet know Jesus. And also because we're going to be continuing to stream online, it could make it even easier for new expressions to be planted. As a new leader could simply use a menu of quality live streamed content alongside live hosting rather than feel daunted of having to come up with quality content every week. A bit like how Alpha has been such a resource to the church that we can gather people together, we can do live hosting, and then we can just hit play and there'll be quality content. And so as we are reset and resent, as we go small on mission, we must also go deeper. It is imperative that we have white, hot faith as community as we go into different territories. This River Church carving out new territory for God. We need depth. We need groups that are committed to rules of life. We need groups that are committed to common spiritual practices. We need homes that are like domestic monasteries. And it doesn't need to be complicated. That can all sound a little bit like, oh my goodness. But you know, in our community household, we read Lectio 365 over breakfast every morning, and we share communion in the context of a meal every weekend. Simple things, but keeps you white hot together. So we are being reset as a church. We're being resent. And now I would like us to hear the updates from our current 3 expressions, OH1, OH2, OH3, and then we're going to hear a little bit from Joe about our community engagement at this time.
Hello, hello. Hi, I'm Luke, if you don't know me. I'm the student worker here, as well as serving on the amazing OH1 leadership team. So I'm going to give a bit of an update of where we're at with OH1, but also a bit of vision for this term coming ahead. And to be honest, I want to just firstly say I've had genuine joy in this season, hearing so many stories and seeing so many people who have pushed into community in this time, pushed into community, gone deeper into discipleship and a personal relationship with Jesus, and also getting creative with mission. So, guys, OH1, well done. It's been incredible to see that, and can't wait for this term as well. And you know, we are so excited to see what's going to happen. So, I've been asked a lot, What is OH1 going to look like this term? And it's going to look different, isn't it? It's going to look different. We know that, but there's 3 things we can guarantee: that there's going to be faith-filled gatherings every single Sunday, that there's going to be small groups meeting every single week, and also there's going to be points of connection this term specifically for OH1 to meet together. And you know, it's amazing, isn't it, that in this past 6 months, even though we've not been able to meet together, that mission statement of making disciples who establish heaven on earth has continued. It's not stopped for us as OH1 either. So let's start with Sunday, shall we? You know, above all, we are Open Heaven Church. We are one church, multiple expressions, but one church. So on Sundays, we are gathering all together, doing these live streams, live like we are today, every Sunday at 10:30, with voices from all expressions being represented. So particularly, you know, when term starts, when new students will be finding us, being invited to join, there's going to be a special voice to welcome you new students who might be watching now, but also H1ers, a bit of a call out for you. Let's not forget about how we normally welcome students. Let's do it like we normally do. Let's prophesy. Let's connect when we can through online, face-to-face maybe. But let's not put that on hold. Let's use the gift of hospitality that so many of us have to be ready and welcome, ready and waiting to welcome this new wave of students. Small groups. Man, actually, before I get to small groups, I'll go on to the connection points. OH1, we are an 18 to 30s expression of church. So we know that there's some specific things that we need to be deliberate about, to be specific about. Mainly how we do mission and also the relevance of our life stage. So this term, we are going to be launching a series of OH1 Togethers. That's what we're calling it, OH1 Togethers. So these are going to be points of connection throughout the term. Maybe online, maybe face-to-face, a bit of a mix, where we as OH1 can come together to build community, to really release the charismatic, to be able to speak directly into our life stages, and also continue to build the amazing culture that we have at OH1. So we're really quite excited about that, and they're going to be on a fairly regular basis. Now, small groups, I'm very excited about small groups because we know that small groups, they're going to continue to be the main place for community building, for discipleship, for mission. That is going to be our main mode this term. And personally, you know, in this season, my small group that I've been a part of has really risen to that challenge. And it's actually been one of the highlights for me of this lockdown period is that weekly small group meeting together, going deeper together, authenticity, skyrocketing, and starting to dream together of what it looks like for us to become more missional. So, to be honest, I'm excited for that to continue. And really excited to see that happen across the board. So we know it's going to be capped at 6 people meeting in person, which might be annoying. It might be irritating. It might be a bit disappointing for some of you. But actually, I'm convinced, really, that small groups can only mean going deeper, can only mean having a sharper edge to our small groups. And actually, I see more of us, OH1 has taken more responsibility of our small groups, taken more responsibility of what we bring, for what we share, for what we contribute to our small groups. So there's going to be loads more small groups. There's going to have to be. So look out for them when they're launched on the website and everything like that. And also, I want there to be a bit of a rethinking. If we're having to be capped, then also how are we going to be so outward looking, so invitational for others to join, that actually our small groups in OH1, almost like disciple-making machines, that we're quick to multiply, we're quick to invite, we're quick to raise up and empower new leaders to see more disciples being made. So that's a bit of a quick update, a few summary snapshots. Me and the rest of the OH1 leadership team, we are so for you. We are here to talk if you need more info or just to chat as well. And OH1, we still have a mandate for 18 to 30s, we still have a mandate over campus and reaching students, our workplaces, our streets, our families. So, see you all very soon. I'm going to hand over to Rich Cave now. Rich.
Thanks, Luke. Love Luke's heart, love his passion, love what God is doing in him at the moment. So, OH1, get ready for this year. So, I want to give an update now for OH2, for our Generations Together expression. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up of what has been happening and what we're looking to do across all the ages within OH2. This last year in September, before all the craziness began, we welcomed the wonderful Andrew Marshall into his role as children's leader. And he's brought years of vision and experience and passion to the role. And he has a real desire to see children discover their identity in Christ and to grow in their faith. And he's been out working that with the team over these last few months. Every week during lockdown, we have had family Zoom worship sessions, and we have had a lot of fun there, gathering people online to connect with each other, to connect with God. If you've joined in, I'm sure you've enjoyed it as well. If you haven't, look out for ways to do that. Those are going to continue into this next season. It's been a real source of energy and excitement for a lot of the kids and the families together. So we're going to continue with that. We've also had a three-day Miracle Maker Club over the summer, and that was great fun to go a little bit deeper and explore the miracles of Jesus with the children. So there's going to be lots more flexibility and opportunity to do those sort of things online, but we're also starting to welcome kids into the building on Sundays. We've had our year 4s and 5s in today, and I don't know if you've heard it in the background, but there was the floor was thundering above our heads during Ness's talk earlier as they were doing some brilliant activities upstairs. So we are really looking forward to creating face-to-face connection opportunities for our children within the guidelines, wherever possible. And children sit in a slightly different scope to adults in that. So we're just tracking with all the relevant requirements and making that a place of life and impartation for our children. So do look out for more information as we send that out over the next few weeks. And we also really want to put a shout out. If you would love to get involved with helping our children discover and grow in faith, then Andrew would love to hear from you. So do get in touch, and we can find a place for you to bring your contribution to the children. We have also been having some exciting times over the summer for our teenagers in our youth work. And most excitingly, we have appointed Michael Vincent to the role of youth leader. And he has been giving his all over the summer with the amazing team. We've got over 40 teenagers now on our books in years 7 up to 13. And we want to give them the best opportunity to grow their faith in Jesus. And Michael is bringing lots of energy and fun with the team. And over this next term, they are looking at building firm foundations with the 11 to 14s and fueling the fire of faith for the 15 to 18s. So those are the themes that we're kicking into this term. We're going to be gathering the youth in appropriate numbers in the appropriate ways. We've been meeting in the park. We'll be hopefully bringing them into St. Peter's over the next few weeks. So that is good stuff and good news. And the youth, we love you. We see the call of God on your life, and you are the generation changers amongst your friends in your schools. And we want to stand with you and support you. So the youth team is really excited about doing that this year. Now, Luke's already mentioned about small groups. Obviously, for OH2, that's very similar. There's going to be where we can meet in person in groups of 6. We're going to champion that. Where people want to meet online, we're going to say go for it. Where there's small groups that need to multiply, we want to call leaders to that challenge and say go for it. Raise up new leaders and multiply OH2 small groups to invite others in, people you're connecting with, maybe over lockdown on your street, maybe people who's not yet experienced Jesus. There's so much opportunity. But also, we're going to be launching some discipleship huddles for OH2, where we're going to be drawing in the 2s, the 3s, the 4s to huddle together and to encourage one another in their discipleship journey. We'll give you an update in the next monthly update on how to do that and some great ways to start huddles over the next few weeks. Within all of that, we want to continue to train, equip, and encourage any leaders of small groups. We're going to be running monthly small group leader training. It'll be a Zoom online session, and that is a great place to connect in, be inspired, be encouraged, pray for one another, grab some ideas. So we want to invite anybody leading small groups to just look out for that. First one, 21st of September on Monday night. So do come along to that. So there's two other really significant discipleship pathways that Open Heaven has had for a number of years. The first of which is Ignite, and the other is Interns. I'm going to give you a little quick update on both of those. Now, as a leadership team and as an Ignite team, we have really felt that actually some of the core principles that we operate within Ignite of laying on of hands, of praying for gifts of the Holy Spirit, of prophesying, of helping each other work through our lives and kind of how we are formed and what God has for us has been very challenging to do on Zoom. And actually, another core element of the Ignite team year is the national and international trips. And guess what? That's been quite tough to achieve. Looking forward, we felt that if we couldn't bring those elements and components, then we didn't want to run Ignite in a sort of a kind of a half speed. So we're going to pause Ignite for this academic year, and we're going to just reflect on what God wants to say to us, and then look to restart that or something similar in the following year. But we're just going to play that by ear and see what we can do. But Ignite is on pause. However, Interns is not, and the interns are being beefed up this year. We have got a phenomenal group of people who have put themselves forward to this intern program for giving their time and their energy for a year, and it's led by Joe McSharry, and he's going to take that group and just help them form their lives in Jesus and learn what it means to serve church. So I would love you to put your hands together wherever you are for the wonderful Joe Hume, Dan D'Souza, Adi Blanchard, and Matt Hickman. Yes. The crowd are going wild in the room. Hopefully you know some of those names and you can pray for those guys. They are going to be giving their time and their energy to grow and contribute to the life of Open Heaven. And they're going to be contributing in these areas. Matt is going to be looking at media and comms. Joe is going to be stepping up into worship. And Adi in community engagement with Joe. And Dan D'Souza in events and evangelism, helping facilitate missional events across Open Heaven and particularly in OH1. So I am so excited about what that resource is going to do and release in us. So look out for those guys, encourage them on their way. It's going to be a year of transformation for them. So that is it. I'm going to wrap up now, and I'm going to hand over to the wonderful John Alalier, who's going to give us an update on OH3.
Morning. My name is John, and I'm part of the OH3 planting team, and I'm going to share a very swift update with you. So as for many, the season has been a challenge, as it has been for OH3. It was in March when we had plans to hold our Persian New Year celebration, which we then had to cancel due to lockdown. Whilst our monthly feast gatherings have stopped, we've transitioned smoothly into meeting as a small group each week. We've gathered as friends on Sundays and during the week to listen to talks and connect through our favourite thing, food. We've also seen those link in with OH3 regularly connecting with their local communities, so with many people leading and initiating connections on their streets. And we have heard stories of how God has linked people in amazing ways with neighbours and the impact it has had. Prayer walks have been taking place locally, and there has been a recent house move intentionally into a diverse area of Loughborough. Our heart is still to meet in homes, and looking forward, we want to continue with that. And we see that as a key part of building community and gathering together as OH3. As well as continuing to meet as small groups, with new lockdown rules coming into play, we are currently exploring how we can meet possibly in a local restaurant, COVID compliant, to continue building community. So with the many changes that are currently taking place, the planting team has set aside time in the coming week to pray and spend time together plotting our next moves. With relationships established in local communities and new friendships, this next season for the wider church is key, and we really want to be focused on what God's plans are and also for us to play a part in that. Our heart remains the same, rooted in Revelation 7:9, to see people of all nations, tribes, and languages standing in worship together before God. So now we're going to head over to Joe for our community update.
Hey, it's Joe here, and for the last 5 years I have been championing our community work at Open Heaven. Some of that has looked like us starting new initiatives like Safe Haven Cafe, which has worked with over 50 local families, supporting them with their mental health and well-being. And some of it has looked like partnership work, working with existing groups and projects, or starting group work like the Charnwood Food Poverty Group, which has worked to eradicate food poverty in Charnwood. Vision Sunday every year presents an amazing opportunity for us as a church to dream of what is ahead and what is to come. And as with most of us personally, COVID has knocked us in some areas but strengthened us in others. So personally, on the downside, I've been referred to as Peter Andre, Hugh Grant and Michael McIntyre because of my lockdown hair, but on the upside, I have spent loads of great time with my family. Now, similarly for us as a church in our community work, on the downside, we were just about to run a Safe Haven course before COVID hit, and we've lost an opportunity to connect with some of our families in the way we did before. But on the upside, we have been able to play our part in a huge town-wide effort to address food poverty as part of Charnwood Community Action, working with John Storer, Charnwood Borough Council and Loughborough against Corona. There's been some hard things, some good things. And just a little known fact on that last piece there, that Charnwood Community Action has been supporting over 600 households a week in the latter parts of lockdown recently. And last month celebrated a milestone, I say celebrate, but you'll know what I mean, of 10,000 food parcels delivered during lockdown. That service didn't even exist before March. You can see the reality is that things have changed. Some of the things that we were doing before lockdown, we might not be able to do in the way we were doing them. And that's challenging. But we also recognise that there is immense opportunity on our doorstep, that the chance to contribute is greater than it's been for a long time. And as a leadership team, we've been hearing and picking up and seeing an increased hunger for church to serve and impact community. We all seem to be growing in awareness of how our communities are being hit by hardship, and how COVID particularly has made that more acute for many people around us. But the key for Vision Sunday and the key for us going forwards is translating awareness into action. It's not going to be straightforward, but I think we might have some ideas. I asked some questions this week on our Facebook group. I'm going to just run through them quickly and make some comments on the back of it. And I'd love to hear answers to these questions, by the way. They're not rhetorical. So here they go. Number one. In terms of getting involved in community work, do you feel your capacity has grown or shrunk in the last 6 months? Now, capacity is always key to what we're able to deliver and offer to our community. And there's a big question, I understand, of how does our organised community engagement fit with full-time work or with family life? It's not straightforward. Do we have time to give to new initiatives or even existing ones? Has your work pattern changed in lockdown? Have you lost your job, or have you been made furloughed, or have you become part-time? Has your uni course thrown up more or less contact hours? Capacity is key. And I think going forward, we need to know who is able to do what in order for us to try some things The second question I asked was, if you volunteered before in some of our community work and that might not restart for a while, would you be able to start in something that could restart? I worded that really poorly just then. If some community work you volunteered with before lockdown has not been able to restart, could you get involved in something that could restart in the near future? Now, for example, Safe Haven may not run in the term up ahead. Certainly before, in the way that it did before. We used to have over a dozen volunteers every week. Could they be redeployed? I prefer, for example, every year we've been putting forwards over 40 volunteers a year to serve as lost child officers. The fare is hugely reduced in this year coming forwards. Could we redeploy and reallocate and serve elsewhere as volunteers? Would we be prepared to try something else and new? The third question I asked was, is weekday daytime viable for you as volunteering time? Now, don't worry if it isn't, not ruling you out of anything, but there is a question there. You know, Gemma, who I'll come back to in a moment, put something in our Facebook group last week about volunteering at the food bank at John Story House on Mondays and Tuesdays. Is that realistic? Is that viable for you? Some of the work that's coming up may be looking to run in office work hours. Could you make that work? If not, is there stuff that we could do around that? And my last question related to opportunities and ideas, and this I suppose is where Vision Sunday really comes into its own. But those questions that I've just asked are key. Where is the hunger and the capacity in our community? What can we do? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to express some, I suppose, emerging needs that I've seen, identified and heard in our town, and then I'm going to throw some suggestions out of what I think we might be able to do as Open Heaven to combat them. And as always, we're looking for partnerships for maximum impact and reach. We're not working in isolation. So I'll start with food poverty. Now, first of all, many of you might not know this, but Gemma Skevington, who we all know and love in our community, has been recently employed as the Food Poverty Development Officer for Charnwood, which we're so pleased with. So she's been working with the Food Poverty Group, which I've been chairing since March, a couple of years back, and she's already doing an amazing job, as you'd expect. But food poverty has risen sharply in the last few months. Households are struggling to overcome financial impacts of COVID, mortgage holidays, redundancies, universal credit applications are hugely up, and there's a huge issue with those as well. Food poverty is becoming a national crisis in many ways, and locally we are seeing that up close. And the aim of that central food bank that I mentioned at John Story House is to devolve back to local food banks as soon as possible. But there are going to be gaps in provision, and we know that some of the provision from before lockdown has closed or shut down. So Joseph Storehouse was a really sort of significant food bank in the town. It closed in December. That was run by Carpenter's Arms. Elim stopped doing their cookery for the elderly and vulnerable at St Peter's last year. The Salvation Army's meals programme they've been doing has had to stop for a while during COVID because of the struggles with their volunteer team. So much of the provision that was happening had to stop and may not be able to reopen. There is going to be gaps. So we might be able to, as Open Heaven, volunteer and serve at local food banks and feeding services. But there's also, I think, an opportunity for us to start something, to fill a gap and meet a need. The question I'm asking is, could a group of Open Heaveners form a team that serves a hot meal weekly, maybe, to families or the vulnerable? For that, we might need a couple of kitchen volunteers to cook and menu plan, 6 to 10 table volunteers to engage with guests, to clear up and to serve. Maybe 2 more clean-up volunteers who are there pot washing through the event. Just throwing it out there, there's maybe a dozen volunteers potentially there that could set up a weekly hot meal for families. What do we think? Another idea that I thought about was that some of the members of the food poverty group have experience of running cooking workshops, training people how to use food and ingredients. I know for a fact that there are open heaveners who would be great at that, who would love it. Would you want to get involved? Would we want to start something? Would we want to contribute to an existing group if there is one? What do you think? Food poverty continues to grow. We're working hard on it. It's a great group of people that are working on this, and the more people involved, the better from my perspective. Next question, the next heading was about money. Money management. Money is crazy. It's been very challenging through lockdown. We know that debt, gambling, rent and bills, arrears, benefit issues have gone up through the roof during lockdown. Could you be somebody who could work with Laura and Kelly on their Christians Against Poverty courses, helping people to manage their money? Would you like to be trained as a CAP money coach so we can run more courses and have greater reach and run for different types of groups? We could invite the network of people that we've been working with on Safe Haven, lots of our friends and partners in the councils and the other organisations locally to refer to us, to get us to where people are most at need. Would you want somebody who can just give advice or can be there to serve people who need help with their money? An idea. What do you think? Moving on to the next one. Unemployment and job insecurity. So we know that redundancies, unemployment have gone through the roof. Volatile zero-hour contracts are everywhere at the moment. Could half a dozen open heaveners volunteer to run a job club? I've seen some great job clubs over the years, little, just very, very informal groups that run CV writing skills, job hunting support, applying for jobs, interviewing skills, just very casual, informal mentoring. We can obviously get some training as well, but could half a dozen open heaveners just set something up like that? I think that would be stunning, and it would be great to get. Again, we've got connections that we can get people involved with that. Another thing that we know about is relationship breakdown and domestic violence. Domestic violence, separation and divorce applications have gone up through the roof again through lockdown. It's an increased time of pressure. Could half a dozen open heaveners volunteer to be befrienders and have coffee with victims of domestic violence? It's a really simple thing, going out for a drink with someone and just being there to have either to chat about anything other than what's going on or to be there to listen. Could half a dozen open heaveners run a course on anger management or conflict management for people in volatile relationships or perpetrators of DV? Could we just be there, basically? Again, there are charities and organisations working on this full time who will be struggling for capacity. Could we throw our weight to it? I'm just asking. What do you think? Another one, mental health and well-being. We know that there is another pandemic on the way, which is mental health issues, and it's already here in many ways. Safe Haven has been working with families with young children. What about singles? What about other vulnerable adults and people who are just older in general? I'm just saying half a dozen every time, but could it take you and a group of friends? Could it take your small group befriending some lonely people, doing some activities with people that just need to get out, going for a walk safely, socially distanced? Obviously, some of this will have to be when things change, but trips out with people, just taking people out for time together. Could you be there for somebody? Again, we know that there are loads of people who'd be amazing at doing this in the community, but could you be one of those? Now, this list that I've just kind of rattled through is not exhaustive, but it's a start. My questions to you guys to us at Open Heaven is, what are you up for? Where is your heart and passion for these areas, and where is your capacity? You know, at Open Heaven, we're not just committed to being a good church in Loughborough. We're committed to being a good church for Loughborough. Not just a good church, but a great church. And I know that is the heart of all of us in this community. So it'd be really great to hear from you about what your involvement could be, where your heart is, and what your time management, what your time capacity could be. Now, I'm about to go on annual leave for just over a week, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to come back to a full inbox with messages from you guys saying what you'd love to do. My email address is here, joe@openheaven.org. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of vision. Can we translate the awareness into action? Let's go, church. Lots of love. Happy Vision Sunday.
So our community engagement is ramping up into the post-COVID landscape where the needs will be great. Our 3 expressions are going great guns, even amongst all the restrictions that progress is being made. We're looking forward to seeing what other expressions God is going to be raising up. And online is here to stay. And this is an area that we particularly need to invest into. We've not invested much into it before. We need to invest specifically into equipment for this place, St. Peter's, to just make it much more straightforward to be able to plug in and play. And we need to get somebody with the skills and the passion to see our online space flourish. Hence, an advert has gone out for a production manager. You know, it's unusual for our trustees to give us the go-ahead before Giving Sunday for a new hire, but it's because we really can't do without this role going forward. So do apply if you've got the skills and the passion. The deadline is tomorrow. The advert is in a number of places. And we would love to turn Michael's role as a volunteer youth leader 1 day a week into a paid role. An email will be coming out this week laying out how to give, ready for Giving Sunday, which is going to be next Sunday. We enjoy Giving Sunday so much in the life of our church calendar. It's normally an explosion of generosity. Now, we're aware that people's contexts will be quite different this year, and so we have cut what we need to cut, but we still need to go for the things that we believe God is calling us to invest into for the next season, to continue to see our mission of making disciples who establish heaven on earth fulfilled. Over to Rich.
Thanks, Ness. Well, we just want to pause for a moment as we've heard some fresh vision and some existing vision reiterated. We want to say, God, what is our response? What are you calling us to? Calling us to as a community, but calling us to as individuals. And as I was reflecting on this moment, the words of Isaiah in chapter 6, verse 8 came to me, where he says, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And I feel like it resonates in my spirit today, that in light of all the things that we are hoping that we can step into this year, and all the things we believe the Holy Spirit is calling us into this year, that we have an opportunity to just pause and say, "Here I am, Lord, send me." So I want to just kind of invite you to do that. But I thought I'd be a little bit more provocative with that. And rather than just do that quietly in our hearts, why don't we go to the windows of our homes, look out on the street? Or if you're feeling a bit bolder, go to your front door, open the door, step onto the doorstep. And I want you to just declare that over yourself. And as a prayer, as a cry to God, that we're here, God, we're available. So I'm going to give you a moment, wherever you are, and I'm just after 3, I'm just going to speak it out. And you might want to speak it out loudly if you're feeling bold. You might want to just say that quietly, but let's just take a moment to put a stake in the ground again and say, yes, God, I'm available for your plans and purposes. So after 3. Here I am, Lord, send me. Amen. Brilliant. Well, I'm really excited about so many things that are coming up this year that we've already heard about. And next week is, on the 20th of September, is our Giving Sunday. It's an opportunity for us to ask God, what would you have us give to see some of this vision come into reality, into life? And we won't be able to do it in the same way as previous years, where we all get in the same room and celebrate as we see God provide. But we are actually, because also some of us are better off than others in this time, and some are others worse off as circumstances have changed. But we want to honor and worship God with our giving, don't we? So if you're new to Open Heaven, please do connect with us by subscribing in our YouTube channel and hitting all the notification bells, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can track with us for next week on Giving Sunday. And you can find those by just searching one of those platforms by putting in Open Heaven Church, and you will connect with us in that way. So remember, just a quick reminder for anyone gathering in homes, as of tomorrow going forward, it's a maximum of 6. So make sure you do your head count right and don't go over the limit. But let's keep innovating, being creative, and following our amazing, creative, loving Father as he takes us on into this next academic year. Thanks for joining us today. It's good to be with you.